Head of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige has confirmed that the idea going forward post Avengers Secret Wars is to offer people more Iron Man, more Captain America Steve Rogers, and other characters, but they will be rebooted and recast. So expect to see a brand new Iron Man post Secret Wars, not played by Robert Downey Jr., and probably much younger. Deadpool made a joke about Hugh Jackman Wolverine doing this till he's 90, and that may very well be true. But at some point, a legacy character that's part of a multiverse needs to be phased out. And what needs to happen is a recasting and somebody else taking over the role. Now, of course, we know that fans are fickle, they're dead set, they're passionate, and well, they will tell you that nobody can ever top whoever is currently in the role. This happened with Tobey Maguire and his Spider-Man. It happened with Andrew Garfield and his Spider-Man. It will happen with Tom Holland and his Spider-Man. It happens with every character. This same song and dance has been done so many times with Batman, with Superman, with just about every comic book character that's a legacy character that's been recast. And also it's happened to non-comic book characters that are legacy characters that live on. And a prime example of this is, of course, the one and only James Bond. And why this is important is when head of Marvel Studios Kevin Feige was part of a big interview talking about the future of Marvel, talking about resetting and rebooting Secret Wars into a new universe, the future of the mutants. Well, the next question they asked him is, people naturally want to know what happens with Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., Captain America, Chris Evans. And then they talked about how there is a missed opportunity to show us Wolverine teaming up with Captain America, or Iron Man with who knows who. And this is when he dropped the bombshell and says, if you read it, and if you read it right, they will be recasting. Okay, so here's what happened. So Variety asked Kevin Feige about the potential of casting new versions of Captain America, Iron Man, and others. Because obviously these actors are, one, getting older, two, they're getting far more expensive. For those that aren't aware, Robert Downey Jr. is making $50 million per appearance. Chris Evans is rumored to be up there in the 25 per appearance now. So they're spending a lot. There's no way they can reboot the MCU, as we talked about in other videos, and then reboot Captain America and expect to pay that much. Especially when the universe has obviously lost some steam and obviously lost some of its fan base, right? So when talking about this, the answer that Kevin Feige gave is very, very interesting and telling, because he confirms they will recast. Because when they ask him, are you going to be recasting characters like Captain America and Iron Man? He said, and I quote, Amy Pascal, and she's of course one of the executives attached to Spider-Man at the hip, but also another property we're just about to talk about, and David Heyman are now searching for a new James Bond. David Cornsweet, the new Superman, he was awesome. That will always be the case. I think it's hard for anybody to do that when an actor has done such a great job. How are you ever going to replace Sean Connery as James Bond, right? End quote. Now, do you guys see what he just did? He literally took the argument that every single person has these days. Okay, not every single, but I'm talking about the majority of the people you see whining online. Nobody can ever replace my favorite version of this character. Nobody. They're the only one that I'm ever going to like, and nobody will ever be better. Oh, hey, Robert Pattinson. Wow, you're a great Batman. Ben Affleck, who? Pff, forget about that guy. Christian Bale, man, he was... No, that was too realistic, too grounded. People have already moved on. And do you notice how he subverts the question? He mentions Amy, who's right now working on James Bond, and mentions how they're going to cast a new one. And then later on, he says, How are they ever going to replace Sean Connery as Bond? That's impossible, right? But how many James Bonds have we had since Sean Connery, and every single one is the best one and can never be replaced? And then he also mentions David Cornsweet, who's an awesome new Superman. What he just did here is confirmed to everybody. We are going to recast, and you're going to have a knee-jerk reaction, and you're going to be upset, and you're going to say nobody can ever be better than Robert Downey Jr. Nobody can ever be better than Chris Evans. The same way everybody said that about Sean Connery and Roger Moore and Timothy Dalton and every other version of James Bond. The same way everybody is saying it right now about Daniel Craig. And then the moment that the new Bond is out in a great film, they're all going to pivot. It's human nature and it's a pattern. Now, what if I told you we know exactly when this is going to happen? Because we do. Okay, so I don't want to say with 100% certainty we do, but I'm pretty sure. I'm going to give it like a 95% sure that this is how it's going to happen. And longtime members will remember Armin Stradamus. I'm pulling that out because it's very simple. Because the way he mentions David Cornsweet, I think, is important here. Because I think he's alluding to what they did and what they're doing and how the multiverse aspect is working and how James Gunn is doing it. And to me, the clear answer here and what he's saying is you're going to see it. And as I talked about in the other videos, you're going to see it after Secret Wars. So he's already said X-Men is going to be our gateway into this new singular timeline Marvel Studios universe. So when we get to X-Men, my prediction is we're going to see the X-Men mention various other things happening around the Marvel universe. It's going to be just like how we saw in Superman, where things are just happening in other cities and it's common. And they're going to mention Stark Tech. They're going to mention Iron Man. And they're going to mention possibly Captain America and others that have been recast. And my guess is, at the end of the film, we're going to have a surprise. Because, again, remember, this is a whole new universe, a whole new world. It is the MCU post-Secret Wars, post-reset, soft reboot. One of the ending scenes of X-Men will be them celebrating their first big victory. They've won, they defeated the bad guy, and they are now on the radar. I think Tony Stark and possibly a recast Nick Fury will show up at the end of the film. And this is going to be our first gateway and look at these characters into the new Marvel Universe to establish that we got a new actor. He's a little younger, maybe in his mid-30s, because we want another trilogy. And they're going to establish that the soft reset essentially reset Iron Man and de-aged everybody. And we are now in a new era that's much like Superman. Everything that's happened is canon, yes, but the soft reboot shifted the timeline. And now that everything exists in the same timeline, you can now get the content you want. Younger Iron Man teaming up with the X-Men and a de-thawed Captain America who fought in World War II with our Wolverine also exists in this universe. And I wouldn't even be surprised if somewhere down the line we get that exact thing and then we actually see them in a film do that. Because why wouldn't you reboot Captain America and the Howling Commandos, and the Cap film is the new Cap teaming up with the new Wolverine during World War II? It would make money because it's two characters that are now popular. It's Steve Rogers, a new Steve Rogers, and a new Wolverine after they've been handed the go-ahead and got the fans to support this new idea. But what if I told you the story doesn't even end there? I told you guys there was a lot to talk about, because they're also teasing a few legacy characters sticking around, such as Deadpool and Wolverine. Thank you for checking out that video, and thank you for your continued support. Feel free to like, share, subscribe, do whatever you will, and if you're so inclined and would like some additional content from us, which includes unfiltered content and bonus discussions, we do offer exclusively in our member section. We hope to see you there. So thank you for watching and have a good one.